Welcome back to the show, everybody. Check out these headlines. Tell me how you know it's Monday without saying it's Monday. Okay. XRP price, normal or super ugly? Saudi Arabia cuts ties with U.S. for economic independence. U.S. dollar fall from grace? Happy Monday. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. And I know who brought the good news bear. Somebody get him some honey, but we got to go over it. It's what's happening. You can follow us on TikTok, YouTube, and Twitter for exclusive content. Right now, $1.22 trillion market cap for cryptocurrency. The market is off by 0.6%. Good morning, everybody. Bitcoin now 28,300 plus. Ethereum is just over 1,800 bucks. Tether market cap is $79.9 plus billion. Watching it very closely. For those that don't know, we have new people by the hundreds joining every week here. Tether is a USD stable coin by a private company. It has never really had the blessing of the U.S. government, the Department of Justice, or the U.S. Treasury, or the Fed. Some people believe that Tether has been captured, unbeknownst to everyone else, by the U.S. government and is operating under capture. But then also, if it isn't, then it is operating outside the normal structure of independent audits and being in a regulatory framework to be to have oversight rather in this crypto space. So wherever it is, one side or the other here, it doesn't have the blessing of Congress publicly or the government, so watching it closely, it could be the final keystone that could fall to see what goes on here. We'll watch it. XRP's 51 cents. We're up 14.5 on the 7-day, but we see we're off 0.2 in the 1 hour and 24 hour as well. Let's take a look at the range of price here. We're on the lower side this morning, ranging between 52 and 54 cents. We'll look at a chart before we get out of here. But let me tell you something. 32 days and counting, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to have an incredible conference. There's a lot you know, and there's a lot you don't know. But there's 32 days left, and almost just as many tickets left. This will sell out, as I have said from the beginning, and it is going to sell out. There are just over 30 tickets now available. If you were on the fence, if you're by yourself and you're like, well, I don't know anybody, but I want to go. What do you mean you don't know anybody? This is XRP fam. This is XRP community. And everybody here is going to want to talk about XRP because they love it and we do too. And obviously we are going to celebrate all of you as well as all of the incredible projects and companies that build and use the XRP ledger and the ecosystem itself. So it is going to be a remarkable event. Do not mess around. Get your ticket and meet some of the people you've been talking to for years on social media. And now listen to this. Link2 has a new way here that you can fund, and you need to hear about it. Pre-fund your account through Chase, baby.
Hi, everyone. Link2, the company, will be back on Link2's investment platform tomorrow, Monday, April 3rd at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. To invest in the company transforming the private capital markets worldwide, pre-fund your cash account today via wire transfer, RIA, or with digital assets held in your Uphold wallet. For extra convenience, listen to Link2's CEO, Bill Saris, share the extra benefits of funding your investments with Link2's brokerage-style cash accounts.
Every account, our cash accounts that are kept and made are kept at Chase. We use, just like Schwab, we use FBO brokerage-style accounts for benefit of accounts, but the money's kept at Chase. Each one is FDIC insured up to $250,000, but on top of that, it's Chase.
Absolutely, it's Chase. Make sure you check out the link. It is the best place to get private equity for the blockchain space and all the cutting-edge innovation that's out here. They have AI as well that you can get a hold of. Companies using artificial intelligence, and we all know we love that as well. Click the link below and check it out. See if it's right for yourself. Love that sponsor right there. John Deaton here shares the Bitcoin news tweet, which says within the last few hours, multiple OPEC nations announced oil production cuts with a total of over 1 million barrels per day. And it says Russia announced 500,000 barrel per cut per day. And it says here, meanwhile, Biden has already sold about half of the U.S. emergency oil supply reserve. We'll talk more about that in a second because that conversation is not going to go away. It's actually going to get a little worse, and you're going to need to know about every single bit of it. But first, here's U.S. Senator Elizabeth Warren on Bitcoin. Take a listen here.
With Bitcoin, there's no thing that backs it up. And that's what makes it different. It's just belief. You and I assess. You assess the value is going to go down. I assess it's going to go up, and therefore I buy.
So it's more like this artwork.
No, because at the end of the day, I can hang that thing on my wall.
Right.
And I can enjoy it, or I can throw darts at it.
You could sell it for money.
Sure you can. I mean, there are features about it that are the same, but it's not the same. And look, one of the things we have to remember there are a lot of things that come within this crypto world. So, for example, we could be talking about, instead of Bitcoin, we could be talking about digital currency. Now, that's something very different.
I think that's different, too. I buy that. I accept that.
That's right, because that's a government-backed electronic transfer. And it can be denominated in dollars. It could be denominated in euros. It could be denominated in some new language that's made up. But that has something that backs it up. It has a government that says, if at the end of the day there's a run on this stuff, everybody wants theirs out, the United States government promises there will be something to back it up.
Well, let's talk about that for a second, because the United States dollar isn't backed by anything other than somebody like Elizabeth Warren saying they will, which should scare the hell out of all of you, because it certainly scares the hell out of me. And if you're going to talk about Bitcoin and the problems it really has, besides the fact that the U.S. government has been concealing and market regulators that they actually know who the 4 Satoshis are because they have been identified by Department of Homeland Security, and it is extremely suspicious that Elizabeth Warren, all the actors in Congress, and all of the regulators in the industries surrounding or regulating industries act like they don't know that Department of Homeland Security has identified those individuals, and they say it's 4 individuals. Not only that, but we got Quincy Jones here. That's right. Coin Club Quincy, who tells us this is the last time I'll say it. You want to talk about the real problem with Bitcoin? He touches it right here. Bitcoin will create the worst economic disaster in the history of mankind. And yes, I'm making this post to reference later when everyone dumbfounded on how the network could fail. High Bitcoin prices encourages more miners. High hash rate, stress on the energy grid. High energy spikes, loss of miner profitability. Many top miners leaving at the same time. Drop in hash rate, slow block times until 2016 block passes to adjust difficulty at least 2 weeks. Miner profitability takes another hit. Slow block times means long to mine Bitcoin, which means less profit over time. More miners leave. In that time, the network will increasingly vulnerable, presuming any top miners are willing to take a loss attack the network. At this point, watch out for massive shorts to be taken out on Bitcoin, massive shorts like Big Short on steroids. With block times taking longer and longer based on drop in the hash rate, the profitability of the miners get hit again. If it takes longer to mine the Bitcoin, that means takes longer to make money to run the miners, it says, which impacts their profits, and more miners will decide to leave. It only takes one miner to try, state actor, or anyone confident in their ability to outlast the other miners at a loss. Making money both on selling Bitcoin confiscated from users' accounts. 51% could allow them to use the network like their own personal DB, it says here, and shorting Bitcoin on the exchanges as they push the price as low as they possibly can. I'm tired of no one taking these concerns seriously. This puts your financial freedom, your individual sovereignty, and broader U.S. economy and all of crypto at risk. And I tell you something, he goes on here to lay this out. But the truth is we have talked about this for a long time. The energy consumption is a huge problem, and it could take the network to point of break. I have always said, and now Chris Larson has said on his own, not for Ripple, but on his own, that Bitcoin needs to switch from proof of work to something else. I have said at the very least, if they don't switch to renewable energy, the bullseye and the target will remain on their back. We will see. Shout out to Quincy for that incredible thread. Here's CoinDesk, who never talk about XRP, and when they do, they try to do it in the most negative light that they can. Take a listen.
We've been talking a lot about this on the show about this XRP surge that kind of looked like it came out of nowhere. Well, not exactly out of nowhere, because I
didn't talk about the case here. I want you to hear the rest of this, but I just want to remind you, they don't talk about the incredible use case and the partnerships all over the world that they have using XRP in the on-demand liquidity solution.
I think some people are looking at what's going to happen with XRP and the SEC and finally having a resolution to this kind of long-time conflict. But it appears that there has been a missing piece to this puzzle that explains a lot of what's happening with XRP, and that is Korea. So our colleague Sharia reported on it very early this morning. Just some really interesting stats in here, basically saying that in the past 24 hours, XRP trading made up 37% of all volume on Bithumb, 18% of volume on Upbit, and a staggering 50% of all volume on Corbit. These are big Korean exchanges, but Upbit is by far the biggest. This is data from CoinGecko and CoinMarketCap. So I just think there's a lot of interesting things here. One, it's that, you have to sort of scratch beneath the surface sometimes to look at what's driving these surges, but also it shows, again, how much of the crypto market is outside of the United States and how players like Korea, Japan can really push up the price of an individual token like
XRP. I tell you, again, pushing up the price, right? Not talking about the fact that, Ripple has expanded now 750 employees, and they use a large part of their solutions for on-demand liquidity with their customer base, over 30 billion processed through on-demand liquidity. I mean, you never hear these facts. No. And then when they do have somebody on, like Stuart Alderati, after summary judgment happened, they try to pin him in a corner about how the founders were a part of OpenCoin, the same founders were a part of Ripple. Hey, we get where CoinDesk is. If there's nothing to say here but this, I'll say it. Everybody's got to serve somebody. CoinDesk damn sure serving somebody. But I give John Deaton this. He says, have people noticed XRP coverage at CoinDesk lately? Call it a banker's coin, call it a crap coin, call it a security, call it whatever you want. But no coin has been more resilient. Let me use the lingo Bitcoin maxis will enjoy. XRP is a cockroach. Even a nuclear war won't kill it. And you know what? Don't believe it. It's still true. Then think about some of these use cases again, just really quickly here, that CoinDesk never talks about. Faster speeds, greater affordability, better transparency, increased certainty. You ever think that maybe those Korean exchanges, which were the same exchanges that CoinMarketCap decided to take off years ago so it could look like the price was falling and lower? I tell you, the things that XRP has been through over the years. Or how about this use case? Shout out to Bill Morgan for this one. Remember early in Ripple versus SEC case when the SEC attorney misled the judge and suggested XRP had no utility? Well, I guess Tranglo doesn't agree with the SEC. You can see, obviously, Tranglo, as well as many of the Ripple partners, have plenty of use case for XRP using on-demand liquidity for remittances and many other things. And I tell you, I think a bigger use case is headed our way, ladies and gentlemen. Chinese yuan surpasses the euro to become Brazil's second largest currency in foreign reserves, but it doesn't stop there. In a drastic move to send a message, you talk about a shot across the bow. If you're not picking up on what's going on here, I don't even know if a picture will do it. Saudi Arabia cuts ties with the U.S. for economic independence, ladies and gentlemen. Saudi Arabia aims to adopt an economic strategy independent of the U.S. Now, this is a country that has an agreement with the Petro Agreement for military protection from the United States, and they are moving away from it. That's what's happening. Don't believe it. It is still very true. In a surprising move, Saudi Arabia and the OPEC group of producers have announced a cut in oil production of approximately 1.6 million barrels per day. While the move is aimed to achieve market stability, according to a recent report from Financial Times, Saudi Arabia is attempting to adopt an economic strategy that is independent of the United States. Oh, it goes on. And it goes on, talk about Saudi Arabia, Russia, and then China, and we all know the rest of it. We've been covering it very closely. Make no mistake about what this move is all about here. And what it's all about is concerns over a global shift from the U.S. dollar, and you need to hear it. Take a listen.
First of all, do you see this as a serious threat? Do you think we could look at a future where the United States dollar is not the world's reserve currency?
I do. Not only a serious threat, I think it is inevitable. We went through 3 stages, as you said, after World War II. The U.S. was the biggest economy in the world. In the 1970s, global banking became basically dollar-centric. With the fall of the Soviet Union, the entire world, more or less, came under the domination of the U.S. dollar. That is now drifting away. The China and the Russia are starting to build an alternative block of currencies.
So the question, John, becomes how viable is their alternative? How many countries, how many transactions, how much market share could, for example, if it becomes the Chinese yuan, take from the U.S. dollar? I've talked to others who said the answer to that question will be a tipping point, and they believe the tipping point would be Saudi Arabia and what they choose to do when it comes to oil transactions. What is your perspective?
Well, the Saudis want to diversify their portfolio, so to speak. They don't know who's going to win the contest for the world. And so they do want to make sure that they have some exposure to China and some exposure to the United States. I don't think in the long run that the yuan is actually a threat, that it is ever going to become the dominant currency of the world, because the Chinese communist system is not open enough. The U.S. system is very open. Other countries can trust that our reserve currency, that we're not manipulating it. We allow free foreign exchange. We try to keep inflation very low. We haven't done a good job of that in the last couple of years, but we have a 40-year track record of keeping inflation low, and we're now doing it again. That gives the world a lot more security than China can. And so I don't think China is going to become the dominant currency. And I think Europe and I think our closest allies in Japan will remain on the dollar. And I think the Saudis and most oil countries will want to remain a close relationship with the dollar. However, I do think we're going to have alternate blocks that we haven't had for a long time.
So really quickly, John, I have to follow up then. You don't think the Chinese yuan will become the world's dominant currency or replace the U.S. dollar, but at the beginning of our conversation, you did say you think it's inevitable that we will continue to lose market share as the world's reserve currency. So what do you see? A fractured global market of currencies?
That's right. I think we're returning to a sort of a Cold War basis where you have different blocks of economies and different blocks of currencies. Look, we are trying to have a smaller trade deficit with China. That's one of the explicit goals of the United States policy right now. If that happens, the trade deficit is what gives China so many dollars. That's why they buy so many treasuries. As we try to cut down on that trade deficit, China naturally will have fewer dollars, which will mean that they need to move into a non-dollar based system. So this will benefit us as well. It's part of our policy. It hasn't been necessarily great for the U.S. economy to have the whole world work on dollars. It actually could end up being beneficial.
And there you have it. And you have to wonder, with that fractured monetary system that he's discussing, if something like an XRP, which is in fact a bridge currency that moves across a decentralized world exchange, could be a benefit in a time of transition like this to help absorb the spillover shocks of the dollar hegemony. Let's take a look at this very quickly before we get out of here. It's 2 things. We're going to look at XRP and HBAR from Eggrag Crypto. He says right here, prices to watch out for right now are 45 cents normal, if we retrace back to that, 40-cent retracement would be a little bit ugly, but 34 cents would be super ugly. And I can tell you, I've been in this space long enough. It goes to 34 cents, I'll probably get another bag. But that's not financial advice. I'm just sharing my digital perspectives. Now let's take a look at what Ed Greg Crypto shares his digital perspectives on HBAR here. He says it looks like it's to hit Fibonacci level 1.618, which would take HBAR to $3.30 plus right here. Oh my, oh my. I happen to be holding HBAR. I'm pretty sure I've said that in the past, and I would not be upset if this ended up playing out. That is for damn sure. Shout out to Egg Rat Crypto. Shout out to everybody. Shout out to all of you. And do not forget to get your ticket to XRP Las Vegas. You're not going to want to miss this event. That's going to do it for me. I'll catch all of you on the next one.